Hey guys, it's Chili Z, and I want to talk to you about prioritizing your to-do list, task list, wish list, whatever you want to call it. I've done a couple of videos around time management and really focusing on what's important. And so the first thing about prioritization, figuring out what on this list to do, when to do it. Do I do it today? Do I do it tomorrow? You've got some free time. What do you work on? Number one thing I really recommend, and it's other videos too, in the series that I've been doing around time management, is making sure you're doing 30 minutes the night before or the day of planning, of really sitting down and looking at your week and your day. And in that, you're going to prioritize. And if you're not doing that, do that. You also want to make sure that the things that you're doing are tying back to your goals. So that's a natural prioritization. You ask yourself, is this bringing me towards where I want to go, or is it pulling me away from where I want to go, or throwing me some other direction entirely, right? So you want to make sure you're focused on the goal connection with the activities that you're doing, and that'll help prioritize. So there's two examples from Stephen Covey that I absolutely love. I may mess it up a little bit. It's not maybe exact. You can search for the videos, the rock, water, and sand videos on Covey's prioritization. But basically, and I called it time blocking in some of the activities and things like that. But you've got to figure out what's really important to you. And for me, goal setting and planning and talking about my values, it's pretty clear for me that it's my family. My family's first. That's the most important thing to me. And so I'm going to put those kind of things, my family time, on my calendar first. It's going to take the highest priority. So what they call that, so you visualize, and again, search for the video. I'm sorry, I can't do it for you. And that may be another video. But think of a big jar, and you've got things, you've got rocks, you've got pebbles, and you've got sand. And so if you take the sand, all the little bitty to-do things, and you pour that all in, and then you take the next things, the kind of, they're a little bit bigger than sand, right? The pebbles. And so you throw that all in. And now you've got these big, huge rocks, and you try to get them in. There's no room for the rocks in this bowl of water, right? You've got the water all in there and everything else, and you can't put your rocks in. So what Covey says is you start with the big things. You start with the rocks. So you start with an empty container and you put the rocks in first. Those represent the most important things that you need to get done for the day, the week, the month, whatever you want to look at it. But those are the things that are really important. Put those in. Then you put the pebbles in. Pour the pebbles in. Then you pour the sand in. And then you can pour the water in. And there's room for all of it when you focus it that way, because the pebbles will fill in and the little holes between the rocks, and the sand will fill in. And when you put the water in, everything kind of readjusts, and it all fits because you focused on the big things first. You put those down first, and then there's space for the other things to work around it. If you focus on the little details, all the errands, all the activities, all the noise, time wasting things, Facebook, messages, for you guys that are leaders, sending email to team members just randomly, or team challenges, or you've got to get on your Facebook page and post something. Those are good activities. I'm not saying they're not good activities, but make sure that you've put the big rocks in first. If that's one of your big rocks, it should be very well planned. It shouldn't be, oh, every day I'm coming up with some new thing. It should have a plan, a communication plan around that. And so that can be one of your projects. One of your goals is to have a communication plan to work with my team, and then break it down. And then it'll all funnel back into the goal, and it'll fit much better. The other thing that Covey talks about a lot is the magic quadrant of your time. So think of, and so there's 4 squares, and you've got the important and urgent. So you've got important and not important, urgent, not urgent. And so those are the combinations of those things. So you'll have important, urgent. Important, urgent would be, a deadline that's coming up. It's very important for work, and it's due next week. Another one may be that you get a call from the school and your child's sick. It's important and urgent. You've got to go deal with it right then. So important, urgent has to be dealt with right now, and it really is important. How do you come up with importance? Tie it back to your values and goals. Okay, but then the next one is not important, urgent. And a lot of times, like a phone call, or if you have your phone on where you can hear, or when you get a text, it beeps at you, that is urgent because it's getting your attention, right? It's right there, but it's not important. If you sit down and plan your day and you're working on an activity and you're working on something that's really important, one of the big rock things, right? And the phone rings or you get a text and it distracts you because it's there and you go run off and go deal with the text or the message, that distraction's costing you the thing that's really important, the big rock. So one of the things I suggest doing is when you're doing your blocking and your time boxing and you're working on your activity for 1 hour, turn your phone off, or you can turn your text messages so it doesn't vibrate or make any noise. You can turn it ring only so that maybe the school calls, or you can turn it to private and let the school number be the only thing that can ring through. You have a lot of options on your phone. The school may have your home phone, and then maybe you can turn your cell phone off. So really think about, I mean, I know you guys can give me a whole bunch of excuses, but that's all they are. They're excuses from keeping you where you want to be. And if you're not where you want to be and your schedule's crazy and you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, turn off your phone when you're working on the really important things. I will tell you that my phone does not beep every text message I get. I would go crazy. I was sitting at dinner one night and I had the phone on the charger and we were all sitting around and it was bing, 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 bing. It would not stop. It was crazy and it was incredibly distracting. And my family and everybody was really distracted by it. So when I put on my phone on mute, when I turn off the little switch to go onto silent, it does not vibrate when I get a text message. It makes no sound when I get a text message. And my phone is mostly on silent. It does have vibrate or the little light will flash when it rings because I may need to take a phone call from school or something. So I'll just watch that. Maybe I'll put it down on the counter or something. But silent on text messages. I just don't do it. And then what I'll do is throughout the day, I'll schedule time to check my text messages in between my activities. So you really have to think about that. So that's an example of not important but urgent. Okay, so now we've got not important, not urgent. Okay, this is total waste of time. This is watching TV. This is Facebook, just screwing around on Facebook. This is, just, hours on end on Pinterest, Instagram, all social media. Extreme activity, right? So there is something to say that I'm working my business and I need to go into social media. And so I've time boxed myself 1 hour to do XYZ task in social media. Check on my friends, check on my customers, look at this and that. But if you're just scanning and looking through news feeds and 4 hours have passed, that is not important and not urgent. And if you have that kind of time, I need to meet you because if you're running a business, I don't know how you have that kind of time. You're probably not running a business. You're probably looking to run a business, and so I can help you find something to do, right? So not important, not urgent, you don't do it. It doesn't provide any value. If it's not important, why in the world are you doing it? And so go back to the goal and tie it to the goal. It's really important to think about. So now where you really want to live is in the important but not urgent, right? So you plan, you do your activities, and things go as you planned. You're not always responding to something. It's not an urgent need that everything's going on and everybody's calling and every deadline's meeting. That creates tremendous stress to live in important and urgent all the time. Those are the kind of people that have health issues because they are in constant state of stress. It is always important and urgent. When you take time to plan and schedule and really take some of the time management principles that I've shared in these video series or search on the internet, there's lots of great information out there, way better than I can give you. But when you take time and listen to all that, you really want to live in the important, not urgent, because the planning of activities will help you remove that urgency. You're planning to do something Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that's due Friday. And so you're not waiting till Thursday night to get it done. When you happen to look at your calendar or Friday morning and realize, oh my gosh, I didn't do that, it's due, or whatever. Some of you guys run other businesses. Some of you guys have corporate jobs. You have to be able to step back and take some breaths and relax. And if you're always in that urgent, crazy mode, you are on such a high of stress that it really isn't good for you. And I really worry about you guys if you're doing that. So sitting down and planning on a regular basis and focusing on your goals and your priorities helps you live an important but not urgent because it's planned activity. Now, I know you can't live entirely in there. The kid's going to get sick and you're going to get a phone call. Somebody's going to hurt themselves. Something's going to happen. There are things important, urgent happens. It does. But try not to live entirely in that quadrant. Live where it's important. You're focusing on the right things at your time, on your pace, on your scale. And I think that helps with prioritizing your to-do list of saying, okay, this is due in 2 weeks. What can I do this week to ease it up so I'm not doing it all next week? You don't know who's going to get sick and screw up the whole schedule next week. So just think about that when you're looking at your to-do list and you're trying to prioritize it and put it all together. I'd love some of your thoughts and feedback about how you guys prioritize and what works really well for you. I know a lot of people put the A1, B1, they do the alphabet and the number 1, 2, 3 as a form of prioritizing. What I do is I just pick the things that I can do that day. And then I might put some nice to haves. And so you may be different colored pens or something. But you could do, the letter A means you have to do it. B is it's pretty important, and C it could be take it or leave it. And then what you do is every activity then gets a number so that you don't have 5 number ones. You can't have 5 things that that are all number 1. I've told you guys before in the past, I use my threes. What are the 3 things that I'm going to do today? Because otherwise, if it's more than that, it overwhelms me, and I don't think a lot of people can do everything. When you're multitasking and you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, nothing's getting done right. You're doing a bunch of things half-ass, and it's just not, in my opinion, it's just not the best way to do it. So that's what I got. That's what I'm going to share with you about prioritization, and just get your to-do list going and then making progress on it. Commit to doing something. Commit that each day you're going to make progress towards your goal. And I promise you, 30, 60, 90 days, you are going to be so excited where you are. And in 12 months from now, in a year from now, when we look back on this year at all the things that you plan to do, you're just going to be so excited at your progress. And we all get to celebrate how far you've come and where you've come and that you've accomplished your goals. So I cannot wait to celebrate with you guys, and I can't wait to hear how this is working. We'll talk about it in our one-on-ones when we have conversations, and I look forward to hearing from you. Have a sensational one. Bye, guys.